Hey everyone. So this is my presentation on the Module 5, which was discussing linked learning curriculum. So this is the linked learning curriculum unit review, and the unit that I will be discussing is Catch the Fever. So just a brief overview of the unit itself. It covers health science, bio, algebra 1 and 2, Spanish 1, English language arts, and world history. The essential question was, how has the development of society influenced the evolution of microorganisms? So this was at the end of the unit what they would have answered throughout all the units. So there were 3 subunits, each with an average of 5 lessons per unit. So I think subunit 1 and subunit 2 had 5 lessons, and then subunit 3 had 4. Subunit 1 addresses the emergence of diseases in a population, how microorganisms can be found everywhere, and then the idea that treatments can cause more dangerous pathogens. So kind of learning about diseases in general. Subunit 2 focuses on how society deals with communicable diseases and how this differs in other countries. So that's where the Spanish one came in, as well as the importance of vaccinations and how these vaccinations affect populations, which was a big math aspect. Subunit 3 discussed specific epidemics, so they were researching in English and how they were caused, and it also asked the students to research a specific infectious disease of their choice. And then so that also involved world history because they were studying different epidemics throughout history. At the end, there was a culminating project, which was a school-wide research project. Presentations included visual presentations, oral presentations, and a brochure. So they did all 3. Each class subject contributes to the overall presentation. For each class, they were doing this whole large project, and individual grades were given in each class. So the students were provided with resource links as well as individual subject requirements. So in their visual, oral, and brochure, they had to address certain subject requirements in order to get the grade for the class. So through a linked learning lens, what I saw was that it had the challenging academic component that links to real-world application, which was one of the core components of linked learning in one of the articles that we read. So the real-world problem would be sicknesses. Obviously, a lot of the kids get sick. They see people sick. And then one big thing that's been discussed recently is vaccines, and that whole debate. Also, there were challenging lessons. They were not only learning about different sicknesses and how these are fought off, but they were also manipulating diseases to see how they were affected by antibiotics, and how these could spread. Also, like what mutations looked like. The work-based learning component was there, which was another of the core requirements for linked learning. So some of the lessons really showed students what it would look like if they were working in that field. So for example, they were learning to check patient history and check question and test for certain sicknesses for patients. They also learned to prescribe medicines, and the math that goes behind that. So there were support services where pretty much the teacher is the one that's providing all of those support services. I didn't see any field trips or anything, so there's nothing else of that aspect. And then pretty much this unit, the students would never really be questioning, why do I need to learn this? Because every lesson addresses the importance of what they're learning in their everyday life. For the problem-based learning lens, it was very student-directed, so even though the teacher was giving them the original information that they knew, such as the math equations or certain science aspects that they needed, the students were the ones doing the research. They were the ones doing the experiments. They were the ones creating the math. It was very inquiry based. So the students were constantly questioning and answering questions. Addresses a real world problem that is prevalent in students' lives. So again, this goes off of the sicknesses. Students are dealing with sicknesses, and it's important for them to learn how these sicknesses come about, and how easily that they're spread, and then also the importance of vaccines. And another PBL lens aspect was that it really depends on the social interaction with classmates. So every lesson, the students were working with other students, either one student in pairs or in groups, and they were having class discussions, playing games together. So there was a lot of social interaction. Ways that I thought that problem-based learning could have been enhanced in this unit. I just thought that if the lessons were less structured, it would allow for students' questions to lead unit in the direction of their choosing. So this pretty much had all the lessons laid out for you completely. And if maybe the lessons were less planned out, or if there were different pathways that the unit could take depending on the student's interest, depending on what questions they ask, then it would be a lot more student-centered. Even though it is a lot really student-centered now, I think it could have been better leading to the students' interests and their needs if it wasn't fully planned out. Another big thing was rewording the essential question to be a problem statement. So right now it's just an overall question that the students are answering and summarizing. So if it had been a problem statement, maybe something to do with vaccines, since that's a huge controversy, it could have been something that the students could solve. So that leads into my next point, more authentic assessment. How will their presentation affect the problem they are addressing? So right now their assessment is a presentation that pretty much just summarizes what they've learned and answers that essential question. But if it's a more authentic assessment dealing with a problem statement, then their final presentation could be solving that problem. And finally, does this unit incorporate constructivism? I said yes, because in this unit, learning is an active, constructive process. They're constantly constructing new knowledge and disregarding old knowledge that they might have had. Also, students are constantly questioning, and so doing so, creating that new knowledge. Again, the learning is social, and the learning is being connected through different contexts and subjects. So this unit is happening throughout different subject core classes, but these classes are connecting, and it's showing the students how this topic can be connected through the different contexts. All right. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you in the next unit, if this will close for me. Currently spinning. Sorry. Give me a second. Perfect.